Hey horror fans, thanks for joining me for this review of Come Play. Alright, cast and crew information down below as usual. And let's start with the IMDb plot. I guess there's a short version and a long version. I guess I'll go with the short one here. A monster named Larry manifests itself through smartphones and mobile devices. Feature film version of a 2017 short film. Uh, I love when short films, kind of a quick side here, short films become feature films. I think that's amazing and obviously a great thing for the filmmakers or whoever's um, trying to put these things together. So you filmmakers out there, sometimes, you just, you know, or even fans, sometimes fans are like, why does everybody do all these short films? They don't make any money or they don't do anything. But, sometimes it's an added credit to your name and sometimes you never know. It will lead to a feature film. And sometimes it's a good play for proof of concept. You put something together and see if you get any bites and anybody wants to make it on a bigger scale. Um, I don't know the exact story here, but uh, hey, it's a feature film now, so that's good for everybody involved. And as for, I'm gonna have to go back and see if I can find that short film. I don't know if it's widely available or not. Sometimes they take it down once a feature happens. Um, but anyway, Come Play. Um, that was a very vague kind of description here. There's a bigger plot here at play, and this is seen a couple of these over the last couple of years, featuring a young child, and here we got Oliver here. He's young. I don't remember if they say the specific age or not, but um, he's a young kid, and I think he has autism here, and that's just an added bit to his character here, and it is kind of because of that gives him something that makes him a little bit different, and different for him, and different character in the movie than some of the other children we see, and he's kind of both him and his parents are kind of coming to terms or kind of getting used to it, and the parents are getting used to him being that way, and finding the best ways to raise him, and Oliver's trying to deal with what's going on with him the best he can. And one of the things that seems to work for him is to either play with an iPhone or play with an iPad, to have some kind of technological device there to entertain him, whether it's to play video games or just to scroll through, look at videos, and so forth. And it kind of helps him out and kind of guides through. And as you'll see, it's kind of interesting here, even though it's a young cast around him, his friends. The story's not just centered on him. The parents are very involved too. But there are a few moments here where he gets, with his young friends. And interestingly enough, I guess as the film goes on, there's a little bit of a history here. I guess they used to be friends, or they used to be closer friends, and they kind of X, Y, and Z happen, and then they're not as close of friends anymore, and I thought that was an interesting take in the movie, because you kind of see that maybe more with maybe children or teens that are a little bit older, or young adults, that kind of almost backstory. It almost seemed like they were too young to have backstory, but I guess it's backstory, but a recent backstory. But I thought that was a little interesting there. Anyway, he gets, his friends are not, his friends anymore, and that kind of makes it rough on him, and they kind of go through that a little bit. But he does have them come over to the house, and in one of the better scenes here, and they're snooping around in downstairs and all the lights are out. It's dark, and that's when kind of Larry kind of, you know, makes himself known. And then I guess at least one of the other children here also becomes affected in kind of the same way Oliver does. And that kind of, kind of reconnects them and so forth. But that's just kind of a side of the story, part of the story here. The basics of the story is obviously here. You have a parent. I think it's a little bit. You have both parents involved, but I think it's tilted a little bit more towards the mother here, or at least put on her a little bit more to solve the situation here. But the father is involved as well, and they think it's just him and him dealing with um, him adjusting and his autism there. But soon enough, they're going to find out that there's a bigger thing at play here, and there's this thing that calls itself Larry, and it's inside of the computer. It's inside the iPad. It's basically inside whatever technology is there, and it's trying to make its way out. It's trying to somehow come out into our world, and one of the ways it's trying to do that is kind of befriend Oliver here, and it seems to kind of work at first. Oliver's kind of intrigued and whatever, but then as you would expect any young boy, he's basically becoming frightened of Larry and what Larry is doing, and I guess the longer Larry gets as not being able to come out into this world, the more aggressive he's getting, or the more, I don't know if it's more aggressive or more powerful or so forth, but the closer he's getting and able to pull out, and which brings in the scares of the movie and the frights of the movie, and basically I'm glad I gave this one a try, because I thought they did a pretty decent job here with the scares and so forth, with the frights and maybe a few jump scares and so forth. It is dark. A lot of scenes, Larry kind of messes. Think of it. He's drawn to anything that's technology and electrical and so forth. So, he can play with the lights, and there's scenes. Everything's in the dark. And then he kind of manifests himself in a time or two. So that's kind of creepy. If I remember correctly, I wish I would have done this review. I wanted to do it earlier. I believe there's a scene where the father takes the boy with him to work, where he's basically in a like a parking lot booth, and it's kind of like off to the side there, and it's just the two of them, and of course the boy starts messing with technology again, which then gets Larry going, and causes a pretty creepy scene there as well. And what they do there, even though it's a little bit awkward of them, because it just seems like they're a booth in the middle of nowhere, but they make the most of it and make it a pretty creepy scene there as well. But the main reason why I'm doing this review and pointing this movie out is because I think they do a decent job. I know horror fans are always looking for something that's got some decent scares and something that'll scare them and so forth, and I think this is a good attempt. As always, some certain things scare some people more than others. Some people watch this and be like, that wasn't scary, that was stupid, that didn't move me. But I think this movie will for some, and that's why I want to point it out in case anybody's missed this one. I think there were some good performances here. The little boy does a good job. I don't want to butcher his first name, Azhy, I think, maybe how you say it. I'm not quite sure. He does a pretty good job here with the fright and so forth. And I think the mom I've seen in some other things. I'm looking here. I don't know. She looked familiar. Anyway. I don't think the acting is good. It doesn't distract from anything here. and I, like I said, I would be interested to see what the short version kind of did, and why they felt, what they were able to accomplish there, and move over to the feature. That would be an interesting thing to see. Um, but again, here's and I think we've seen, or at least I've seen, a couple of movies, Z with a young child here, and that one he had an imaginary friend, and there's another one that I'm thinking, I can't think of the name off the top of my head. But we've seen a couple of young children, and you go back further, and see plenty of children having a creature or a ghost or something coming for them. Um, but I think this one holds its own, and obviously gives this character a different thing with being autistic, and kind of just better explains putting the pieces together here. But the main thing here, the main takeaway here is to give this one a watch to see if it'll scare you or not. See if it'll catch you. I think it was creepy enough. I'm gonna give it good points for at least the attempt. Again, like I said, everybody is scared. Everybody takes that in a different way. What's scary for me might not be scary for you. I've seen so many things that I'm not typically scared anymore. But what I look for is at least the attempt to do so, and if they were able to seemingly put it together well, and I think this one seemed to put together some good scares here, and give you a nice, good, dark and creepy movie. I also give him credit for kind of what some other films are starting to do now, is kind of bring in more of the technology aspect here into the horror, as opposed to kids going off to a cabin. You see them ditch the cell phones, or there's no phone service, and that's it. We see some more movies kind of not hide that fact, kind of incorporate that into the horror. And this one definitely is like I said, he's got the phone and the iPad. I think at that point the mom chucks the TV out of the house, so you kind of see anything electrical and technology driven is going to bring Larry into their world, and they have to try to get rid of all these things, which is another task all in itself. So yeah, if you come across this one, give it a try, see if it'll scare you, see if it'll at least maybe creep you out a little bit. I think it should. So with that, I'm going to give this one 3 pools of blood. And yeah, and then hopefully Larry won't come out and play with you, but you'll get a good time watching this film. So 3 pools of blood for this one. And as usual, down below, you can subscribe to the channel if you're looking for more reviews. You can also find more of them at horrorscorereviews.blogspot.com. That's down below. You can find written reviews there as well. It goes back a long time. And my Twitter, Facebook is there as well. Follow, like. You can talk about this movie, other movies, something you want me to review. You can find me there and we can talk about it. And yeah, or comment below on this movie, or something else you'd like to talk about. So with that, I guess I'll catch you on the next review, horror fans.